There's something nobody tells you about the kindest person in the room. They're usually the most exhausted, not tired in a way they'll admit, tired in a way they've learned to hide so well, even they forget it's there. And if that sentence just hit a little too close, stay with me, because what we're about to unpack might explain a lot about why giving so much has started to feel like disappearing. Kindness is supposed to be simple. Be good to others, help when you can, show up. But somewhere along the way, for some of us, kindness stopped being a choice and started being a contract, one we signed before we were old enough to read the fine print. Here's what happens. A child figures out early that love isn't free. It comes when they're quiet, when they're helpful, when they make everyone else comfortable. So they adapt. They become the easy one, the reliable one. And that pattern doesn't just stay in childhood. It moves into friendships, into relationships, into jobs. It becomes identity. And identities are terrifying to question. Before I go further, I want to ask you something honestly. When's the last time someone asked what you needed, and you actually told them the truth? Not the polished version, the real one. Think about it. Because here's what psychology keeps finding. The people who struggle most with saying no are the same ones reporting the highest levels of anxiety, resentment, and burnout. Not because they're weak, because their nervous system learned that love requires erasure. And that's exhausting math to carry. There's also a quieter cost nobody talks about. When you're always adjusting, always accommodating, you train the people around you to stop asking what you want. They assume you'll flex. They assume you're fine. And slowly, kindness becomes invisibility. You're there for everyone, but somehow no one really sees you. That's not peace. That's loneliness in a socially acceptable costume. And the thing about suppressing your needs for long enough is this. They don't actually go away. They just go underground. Resentment builds without permission. Frustration leaks out sideways. Maybe you snap over something small and wonder where that came from. Maybe you feel a bitterness you're ashamed to name. That's not a character flaw. That's pressure without an exit. Studies on what researchers call compassion fatigue show exactly this. Empathy without boundaries doesn't create saints. It creates depletion. Your brain isn't wired for infinite giving. It's wired for reciprocity, for exchange, for rest. So what's the move? It's not becoming cold. It's not shutting down. It's learning something radical. Kindness that doesn't include yourself isn't kindness. It's performance. And performance always has a cost. Real kindness has edges. It knows when to say no. It doesn't guilt itself for resting. It asks, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm scared of what happens if I don't? That question changes everything. The goal isn't to stop being generous. It's to stop being generous from an empty place. Because when kindness flows from overflow instead of obligation, it doesn't drain you. It expands. It feels different, lighter, truer. And maybe that's the whole point. Not to reject kindness, but to reclaim it. To let it come from choice instead of survival, from presence instead of fear. The world doesn't need more people running on empty, calling it virtue. It needs people who know how to give without vanishing. If any of this felt familiar, you're not broken. You just learned love with conditions attached, and unlearning that takes time. But recognizing it, that's the first step. If this hit home, you're probably not alone. More videos like this are coming. Subscribe if you want to stay.